Ladies and gentlemen, I am super happy to be back with another video, and reason being, I just got back from a business trip, and I always do a business trip recap when I go to visit my properties. And like I said in the last business trip video, I love making these so much because that means that I'm making money. I wouldn't be going on a business trip if I wasn't making money doing so. So it's always a pleasure to be making these, but nonetheless, I just got back from Austin, Texas a couple days ago. Now, I was only there for one day, so essentially I flew in around 1 p.m. on August 1st, so a couple days ago, and I left August 2nd around 3 or 4 p.m. And essentially, this is kind of how the trip went. This trip was a lot more personal to me. Reason being was because my grandma actually lives in that area, so I actually stayed with her and we got to spend some time together. It was the first property that we've kind of bought in that area, so it was kind of cool just going out there. I almost got an excuse to go see her and count it as a business trip, but nonetheless, let's go over these two deals and kind of what we're looking at in terms of profit, margin, stuff like that. So for deal number one, we are buying a property for about $10,000. Now this is a 0.2 acre parcel. And one thing that is really cool to note, and I'll put up a picture on the screen, but when we got there, the property actually already had a water meter installed. Now in this area, water meters are looking at like $5,000 for an installation. So that really helps us in terms of maybe getting a couple extra $1,000 for the property and selling it a little bit quicker for that convenience. So I had no idea that it had a water meter. The owners never mentioned it until I went out there and I visited it in person. So yeah, that was a very pleasant surprise. But in terms of profits on this one, we are probably looking at about 13,000. So we're getting it for 10. We're trying to sell it for 23. Now this property in particular, that doesn't generally meet our 3 to 5x margin, but when the spread is over $10,000, I figure it's best to use a deal funder because we don't really have any risk in that sense. And we can just get a decent spread on it, and we don't have to use our own money because that's kind of taken away from the opportunity cost of getting a bunch of smaller parcels for cheaper and just doing it that way. So that's exactly what we did. We have a deal funder lined up for this one. So essentially, we are going to use their money and we're going to buy the property, and we kind of have certain terms, and however long it takes us to sell that property, we're looking for probably 90 days or less like normal. That will sort of depend on how much we pay our funder back in interest. So again, looking at about a $10,000 spread after deal funding and everything, which is super cool. And now for deal number two. This property is in the same subdivision as the other one, so it was super easy to go view those together. And this one we're picking up for $1,500. Now for this property, it's not in as much of a desirable location as the first one, so we're not looking to get as much for it. Although it's quite a similar size, it's a 0.14 acre property. We're not looking for as much money, but we're still going to get a very good margin because we're getting it for such a cheap price. Now, in one of my last videos, I actually mentioned this property. We're getting it for $1,500 plus closing costs. Our attorney charges about $350, so we're looking at about $1,850 total after closing costs to buy, and we're looking to sell for somewhere in between $12,000 to $15,000. So in that case, we're looking at about a 5 to 7x, which is super nice, right? And our spread on that is going to be at least $10,000, maybe 10 to 13,000 in profit. So yeah, this is a great pickup as well, and it's nice that they're both in the same area. I got to knock both of them out at the same time on the same trip while I was there. And so let's kind of talk about how the trip went. So the first day, it was nice. I had woken up about 6 a.m. in the morning here in Las Vegas time, and I got to the airport, left around 8. In Texas, we magically fly a couple hours ahead in the future, so when I landed, it was about a 3-hour flight, but when I landed, it was about 1 1:30 p.m. And so at this point, my grandma got me. We drove to her house. She lived about an hour away from Austin. And actually, there is one property in the same subdivision where she lives where I'm actually thinking about buying a property. I really need to nurture this seller. He's very old and he's very hard to get in contact with, so that has been a barrier as well. But we're just going to keep following up and doing the best we can. He wants 50 cents on the dollar for that property, so we're thinking about using a deal funder again. Now, the spread on that one would be nice. It's about $20,000 if we can lock it up, but again, it's so hard to get in contact with this guy. I almost have to mail him every time I want to speak on the phone with him. So very annoying nonetheless. I figured I would just get drone shots of it while I'm there, because again, it's super nice and I'm in the area, so I might as well, just in case it ends up working out in the future. But it's funny because while I was there, I actually got some pictures on the ground first, and I got a couple videos, and it started raining. And so essentially then I had to put the drone away, and I had to wait like 2 hours because it stopped raining about 2 hours after that. And then I went back out, and then I did my drone shots. Good thing she lived like 15 minutes away. Otherwise, it would have been very inconvenient. But it wasn't too inconvenient in that case because she was so close. And in those 2 hours, we were pretty much just waiting. We kind of just went to dinner. Texas barbecue is always nice to eat, so I had a great time there. But yeah, after that, I went back, got the rest of the drone shots, went home, pretty much went to bed because I was exhausted. And I woke up for day number 2. Now, I didn't really have the best sleep, to be honest. It was super hot and my grandma's AC, and so that gave me a hard time sleeping. But essentially, I woke up around 8 a.m. and we were pretty much out the door at 9 a.m. So the plan was to hit the other 2 properties in the same subdivision on the way back to the airport. So we did that. I arrived to the subdivision. Now, the roads are probably my biggest concern. They're not in terrible conditions, but they are dirt roads, so they're not, super nice. But the main problem here was my grandma's car was super low. So in some cases, I actually had to kind of like walk like maybe a minute or so to the property, just because I didn't want her car to like get messed up for any reason. I was just trying to be super careful. But yeah, that's sort of the only downfall of the area, but it's not so bad to deter us from buying. I was just trying to be cautious in regards to her car. But yeah, I got those pictures, and then I was pretty much on the way to the airport from there. It was super hot while I was outside. I got super sweaty, which was kind of annoying because I had to, sit on the flight back home before I could even shower. But yeah, I essentially got to the airport and I went home after that. So let's talk about how I am planning to sell these properties. So the smaller one that I'm getting for about 1.8 thousand, this should be a very routine Facebook marketplace type of deal where I offer seller financing. I'll probably get seller financing for it as well, as opposed to cash, and I just make a lot of money charging over market value because I'm offering seller financing, and on top of that, I'm charging 10% APY, which helps as well. And for our second deal, we are looking to sell this on the MLS, mainly because it is a higher quality parcel, and we have a realtor that we really like in the area that talks very highly about him selling it fast. So we'll try him out and see how he does. But another key factor is that we are using deal funding for this deal, so we have an incentive to sell it quicker. So that's why we're using the MLS as well as Facebook Marketplace to try and sell this one. And since we're using deal funding, we are trying to sell it for cash, but we will take a seller financing deal as long as the down payment would probably want about $4,000 at least, because we will have to sort of pay the funder out of pocket for the difference. And so guys, that pretty much wraps everything up. I'm already planning on going to Houston for another deal that we have in the pipeline. This is another annoying one where we've been kind of going back and forth for like the last 2 weeks, but I think we're very close on actually getting this thing under contract. So I hope to have another one of these out in about probably a month or so. So guys, that was, again, just another quick little business type of video. And normally I would make it more so of like a vlog where I have a ton of videos, but like I said, I wasn't with Francis, my business partner, on this specific trip. It was kind of more personal because I was with my grandma, so I didn't really do that much filming. So With that being said, guys, if you liked the video, make sure you comment and subscribe. And again, I have been your host, Levi, and I hope you guys have a nice rest of your day, and peace out.